The Global Center on Adaptation is making young people central in driving the adaptation agenda. In 2022, we organized 7 regional youth adaptation forums, bringing together young people and decision makers. One of the key recommendations is to promote youth participation in the decision-making process at all levels, but especially to promote the participation of youth in the design and implementation of the national adaptation plans. It is a call and it is an invitation to governments, but also other stakeholders to promote youth participation in the NAPs.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the MENA Youth Adaptation Forum. It is the Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the MENA Youth Adaptation Forum. It is the first forum that the Global Center on Adaptation is organizing to promote a platform for young people to discuss their ideas and recommendations regarding the global goal on adaptation, their input for the national adaptation plans, but as well to showcase youth-led adaptation solutions. My name is Adriana Valenzuela. I lead the Youth Leadership and Education Program at the Global Center on Adaptation. This forum is the last forum of these 5 that in 2023 had been organized, and is also before the International Youth Day that is celebrated tomorrow around the world. And today we have young speakers and young leaders from Algeria, Egypt, Morocco, Yemen, Libya, and the United Arab Emirates, showcasing their leadership, but also making a call to action to accelerate adaptation solutions. All these initiatives are building and preparing and also amplifying the voices of young people towards the Climate Adaptation Summit that will be hosted by the government of Kenya in September, but also COP28 that will be hosted in Dubai. Then I want to welcome all of you and please invite you to use the hashtag Youth for Adaptation in your social media channels to really start this celebration. We will start with video message of the CEO of the Global Center on Adaptation, Professor Patrick Verkooyen. Please.
Dear adaptation champions, greetings from the Global Center on Adaptation's headquarters on the world's largest floating office in Rotterdam, the Netherlands. And a warm welcome to this MENA Youth Adaptation Forum, which is taking place, as you know, on the eve of International Youth Day. It is a day that I always look forward to. Why? Because it is a reason to celebrate the vital role and place of all young people in the fight for adaptation to climate change. And what a fight it is. This is the fight of our lives. It's a fight for our lives, not just for survival, but to thrive. And in the MENA region, in your region, temperatures are at an all-time high, and there is no relief in sight. MENA is heating up almost twice as fast as the global average. But the good news is, with the COP28 drawing nearer and taking place in your region, in Dubai, MENA has a distinct and unique opportunity to set the world on a safer and more resilient path. MENA's young population, i.e. you're going through rapid growth. But this demographic shift presents not just challenges for education and employment, but it also provides great opportunities. Why? Because your generation, it brings talent, it brings innovation, it brings energy, and the entrepreneurial spirit to the world it needs. And given the right circumstances, you can and will all play a crucial role in boosting economic growth, but also at the same time building our planet's resilience. At COP28, just a few months from now, we will see the outcome of the first global stocktake. We will finally establish the global goal on adaptation, the world's first collective commitment to taking those transformative steps. And you have to. You have to be a central part in this journey. But let's be frank, our actions cannot be solely limited to policy. We also, at the same time, urgently need to scale up the youth-led businesses which are reducing climate risk and increasing resilience. And I've seen for myself how young entrepreneurs are growing the capacity of their communities to adapt and at the same time creating jobs for their communities. This is not a wild fantasy, it is the rise of the green economy. And many of you will by now be familiar with our Youth Adapt Awards, through which GCA is promoting sustainable job creation. I urge you not just to spread the word, but come forward with concrete business proposals. Right now, we're strengthening the growth of 10,000 youth-owned enterprises. It's just a start, but it's a good start. And in Africa, for example, we're equipping 1 million African youth with the skills for climate-resilient jobs. We want to go faster. We want to go much faster and much further to see these benefits roll out, not just in Africa, but also in MENA, and in fact, across the globe. And this is where, once again, you come in. Your voices are powerful tools for change, and we can help you use your voice. With our toolkit for youth on adaptation and leadership, it's available in Arabic, English, and French. This toolkit will give you the skills you need to advocate for adaptation and take action in your communities. But let me be clear, let me be frank. The MENA region is in the eye of the climate change storm, to which the world is only beginning to awake. But there is a way through it. If we act now, if we waste no more time, let us be bold, let us be loud, let us get to work together. I look forward to meeting many of you at COP28, and I wish you a very productive forum. I thank you very much.
Once again, thank you to all our participants who have joined, and I want to remind you that this event is available also in Arabic. You will need to go and select what language you would like to use, either English or Arabic. And welcome to young people that are in every minute just join this conversation about adaptation as part of the Adaptation Youth Forum in the MENA region. I want to invite you all to start with the Mentimeter. The Mentimeter is a platform where you can also contribute about your ideas and recommendations. Then I would like to invite you to use your mobile phone and go to the Mentimeter and include the code 13209415. Then you can see it is the code is 13209415. And we have 2 questions for you. The idea is that you take your mobile phone, you can also use your laptop. And the first question is, what is your understanding about climate change adaptation? If you can just define, okay, I think that my understanding is very high, or no, I think that my understanding is very low, this will help us to have a better overview about the knowledge gap of young people. Then how will you evaluate your understanding about climate change adaptation? You can use the code 13209415. And when you have this code, then you can evaluate. In other forums, we have received responses that there is a difference between the understanding between young professionals that are already engaged in this topic and just you that are working in different leadership topics. Then it's an invitation to use the code 13209415. In the meantime, also, I can see that you are using the chat to reply. I think that there is a technical issue. Let's try to move to the second question regarding what, if you know what a national adaptation plan is. In the meantime, we are checking for participants that cannot just provide the responses. And you are also invited to put in the chat your name, your country, your organization, because it is a platform also to exchange among young people. And you can also share the responses using the chat. Then we will continue with, we will move forward, and then we will continue. We will have young people and young leaders that are shaping the international agenda. And I am delighted also to welcome our first speaker. She is Shema Al-Mehawa. She is part of the Youth Advisory Panel that GCA established in 2022, and she's also working at the Ministry of Environment as a climate change expert, especially coordinating and participating in the topics on action for climate empowerment that is related to education, training, public awareness, but also adaptation and capacity building. Then, Shema, very glad that you are celebrating with us the International Youth Day and especially the MENA Youth Forum. And I would like to start asking you very briefly, how did you get involved in this agenda in the United Arab Emirates? And the second question is, what is the connection between action for climate empowerment and adaptation?
Right. Thank you, Adriana, for the introduction and then for inviting me to be part of this event. So regarding your first question, I think I have a little bit of a boring story. I started my journey for climate change in university through my major. So I majored in environmental science and sustainability in Zayed University in Abu Dhabi. So I think through my major and my study, I was introduced to climate change and some of the work that UAE have done to undertake or to address climate change. And then slowly by slowly, started doing my research, finding ways that I can contribute, that I could help. So I did a lot of volunteering work, which later on landed me to the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment in the UAE. So I started my professional work through volunteering first with the ministry, which I had the pleasure of attending COP25 in Madrid, if I'm not mistaken. And then later on, that kind of transition to full-time employment with the ministry, and then later on being given the adaptation file at the ministry as my first project to work on. And then I suppose the rest is history in terms of kind of continue my work regarding climate change. And then for your second question regarding ACE, which is Action for Climate Empowerment and Adaptation. And again, I'm an ACE focal point for the UAE. So for me, action for climate empowerment is a huge topic, and I think it's a topic that it's not focused on a lot, and a lot of, let's say, delegates or countries do not necessarily see the full potential that it could play in the other topics. So for me, I think the action for climate empowerment can play hugely with adaptation measures and then kind of push and accelerate adaptation, especially because or action for climate empowerment, they focus on 6 elements, which is education, training, public awareness, public participation, public access to information, and international cooperation on climate change issues. And I think you can always find synergy between those 6 elements, and then what you could do in terms of adaptation, then how you could integrate civil society, community, and individuals to be more active in terms of climate change adaptation. And I think some of the outcomes that could generate from linking those 2 projects together is kind of behavioral change. Again, because you're focusing on individual communities, civil society, you can take that element of public awareness, public engagement to find a huge shift in terms of behavioral change. So you could encourage individuals to kind of adapt more environmental friendly behavior lifestyles. And then once they do have that kind of the proper knowledge and information and accurate information, if any, as to how they could play a major role and what climate adaptation is, it's quite easy to have more informed decision makers. So they could help in terms of themselves identifying locally what are the vulnerability and then develop adaptive strategy that is more effective rather than just relying on, let's say, government or local institutions to take that part. So you could kind of educate the individual community and civil society, and then they eventually, once they have the accurate information and understanding, play a role in kind of identifying what are the vulnerabilities that needs the to tackle, and then kind of help us adapt or come up with the adaptive strategy that are more suited for that specific needs. And again, through public awareness, participation, again, they could push the government and institution to implement those effective measures to adapt and mitigate to climate change. But I think, again, ACE and adaptation is, I feel like they have a lot of in common, and they could help each other kind of accelerate climate adaptation in a more concrete manner.
Thank you very much, Shema, what you said. We need to promote a behavioral change and to make possible that everyone have an understanding about what the vulnerability is, but how they can adapt to the impacts of climate change. And then we will continue with Abdallah Ahmad Afifi. He is from Egypt. He's also member of the GCO Youth Advisory Panel 2023. Abdallah, welcome. Very glad to see you here. Last year, you were one of the organizers of the Conference of Youth that took place in Egypt. Then I would like just that you give a general overview, Abdallah, about what is the Youth Advisory Panel and what is your role to accelerate adaptation solutions.
Thank you so much, Adriana, and thanks for everyone for attending the forum. First of all, I'm really glad that we are doing this, especially that MENA region has more than 55% of their own population as youth. So I'm glad that we already have something specific for the MENA region youth group. And yeah, as you mentioned, last year I was one of the COI 17 organizers as my organization Act Sustainable, and also I was the COI 17 national focal point. So I was the main contact point between the Yungu and the government in Egypt. So we tried our best to have this version in the first time in Egypt, in Sharm el-Sheikh, as well as we are hosting the COP27. Also, we are hosting the COI 17, and we are glad that last year Global Youth Statement was including adaptation, a strong pile of adaptation in the output, and also we were able to submit it to the COP27 presidency, and also it was highlighted during the opening ceremony in the COP27, and we submitted to the UNFCCC Secretary and also very high key persons in the Egyptian government during the COP, and it was mentioned as well in the closing ceremony in COP27, which is a great success for the COI to have this kind of output mentioned in such platforms. Regarding the great opportunity that we have here to be as one of the CEO Youth Advisory Panel in the Global Center of Adaptation, we have some great achievement that we did over the last years. We have 7 forums which brought more than 3,000 young people, and also the inputs for these young people were also implemented into the global goal and adaptation documentation and report for youth engagements, and it was submitted into the COP27. And this year as well, we have 6 regional youth forum. We are ending by the MENA Youth Forum that we are having today to discuss about what we are here for, what are our strategy for the global stake that are going to take place, and also how our local youth in our MENA region are engaged with the NAPs, which is National Adaptation Plans, and to see exactly what is the best practice that we can have in our today's example. And that is what we are going to have during the agenda of today, and how we are going to present this to the COP28 in a meaningful and also in a way that can be well implemented into the output of the COP, not just like gathering youth and having this kind of activities, but also to have the methodology on how exactly are we going to implement this. Especially that also have a perspective of Yungu, which is a very good institution consistency for a UNFCCC. And we also are targeting this kind of platform like for COP27 or COP28 as part of the adaptation. So it's matching agendas here, and we are just trying to amplify the work by having our today's discussions and breakout rooms to know exactly what are the youth in the MENA region are thinking about and what they are having to bring to the table, and then we can move forward with these suggestions and recommendations.
Thanks a lot, Abdallah, and also well done organizing the Conference of Youth last year in Egypt. And we need to accelerate adaptation solutions. So as you said, Abdallah, we need to know how we can implement these solutions and learn from each other. And now we are going to move from Egypt. We are going to go to another country in the MENA region. And I want to invite Mohammed Marai. He is from Libya, and he is working with the Youth Council for Climate Change. Then Mohammed, welcome, and just share with us what is your work at the Council and how are you accelerating adaptation solutions in Libya?
Thank you, Adriana, and happy to be here again with the MENA Youth Adaptation Forum. With the Libya Youth Council for Climate Change, we started as a small group working on empowering youth for action for climate empowerment, but we find that the lack of knowledge and the lack of training education in the country need an action from us as well in specific and technical details. So this year we opened a call for membership with us, and it was overwhelming by receiving more than 200 applications. So finally, we are having a working group that focuses on adaptation, education, and training that provides workshops and short video courses regarding to the adaptation, mainly on the global goal on adaptation and what's the adaptation action plans that countries should implement and how people should interact, especially youth from the country. How should they interact with the policymakers, starting from public participation and engaging with events and activities, as well as to support some enterprise in the countries. We have been supporting one of the main enterprise that promoting vertical agriculture, which is called Green Paradise. So by that, including projects and initiatives that is a youth lead can help to raise the awareness as well. We are trying to create a kind of a network between the council and other NGOs in the country. So we are making sure that we don't want to work alone as a youth council in Libya, but also collaborate with other networks and organizations that can share with us the responsibility of raising the adaptation awareness in Libya, and as well as being an example to be followed by other organizations in the MENA. Being from a post-conflict countries cannot be a good example for many other countries, but for sure we have some other post-conflict and conflict countries in the MENA region that have been facing main issues, starting from the lack of opportunities, the lack of funding, especially when we are speaking about the MENA region has more than 4 countries that facing conflicts or they are post-conflict countries.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. And as you said, the lack of knowledge and the lack of technical skills is are some gaps. And the Global Center on Adaptation this year launched a toolkit for youth on youth leadership and adaptation. This toolkit is available in English, French, and Arabic, and has 8 modules. And the main objective is that this toolkit can be used by youth organizations like the council that you are leading, Mohammed, but as well different universities and groups, and to make the knowledge about adaptation available to everyone. Then thank you very much, and we hope that you can use also this toolkit. And now we are going to move from Libya. We have our next speaker. She is Selma Bichichi. She is from Algeria, and she is also member of the constituency of youth under the UNFCCC, the Climate Change Conference, the Climate Change Convention. And Selma, Yongo is organizing every year multiple initiative events, and also there are different working groups, and one of them is the working group on adaptation. Please share with us what Yongo is doing, but especially what is happening in Algeria and how young people are making a difference with implementing solutions.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're all doing great. Thank you for being here, and I hope our talks will be productive. Thank you again for the invitation. I'm glad to see you again. To be honest, when it comes to Yongo, it's not any place. It's a place for youth to come together, take actions. I would say also speak about our countries and communities. It was always the perfect space for us to finally address our concerns and struggles. Now, I am actually one of the committee members at the Youth Adaptation Forum, one of the committee members with the Adaptation Academy at Yongo. And it has been a huge honor for me because we have been always contributing to many consultations, make sure to address our community struggles. And as you may know, in Algeria, it has been quite hectic recently because we have seen so many disasters targeting our country. Our community has been always targeted, and we're not seeing so many actions taken on the ground. Civil society is not so supported, and it was only such platforms that opened the space for us to finally address them. Personally speaking on my actions, I am also a founder of an NGO here in Algeria, and I wanted always to introduce youth to what they can do in order to just be the ones to take actions, and I would say take the lead on these struggles and just accept the truth and adapt, but still do and add our own touch to these, to our community, and make more improvements. At least we're talking about a Mediterranean country. We're talking about a country that is like in Africa, and also considered as MENA, as part of the MENA region as well. Now, we have been doing multiple workshops and series of events where we introduce youth to how they can take the lead on actions, how they can actually initiate new youth-led initiatives, and how they can always be there introducing people to these new terms of climate change that has been always seen as not a very serious problem in my country specifically. So it was the perfect chance for me to address it, and it was all through virtual workshops. And I think in a few days, actually, we're going to be having a side event in collaboration with the US Embassy, where we're going to be hosting an event with a panel discussion, workshops. We introduce them to different movements that they can actually take part in the MENA region. Yongo will be among the spaces that will be be introduced to them. And not only that, but we will be also introducing them to what are the new businesses and startups that they can actually get involved in, because we're talking about as youth, so much energy, and we want to also get involved in familiarizing people with how they can have this new eco-friendly, sustainable businesses as well. We want to ensure that we're getting involved in everything. So it's actually the perfect chance to finally introduce people to everyone. And I have seen so many people are actually asking how they can join Youngo. Youngo has been always an open platform where you can just fill in the application and join us. It's not only us doing consultations, and maybe that's what people usually see us doing, is more of consultations, taking part in different events and being the representatives of youth. But that's actually not only the case, but we're also always required, as I would say, activists and change makers, to take actions on the ground and make sure that we're sharing and being impactful and inspiring others to do better than what we are doing, actually, because, you know, this is not any problem. This is actually global concern that we're all together on it, and we need everyone to get involved. And the more we're having, the better, you know. And again, we're here representatives of our communities, we're representatives of our struggles, and we need to speak up about them, and we need to act as well, because if it's not us, then who will do? We cannot always keep on, I would say, being angry, but we need also to do something to face that anger. And that can also always, I would say, happen with words, not only drafted words, but also immediate actions. That would be from my end. Thank you so much again.
Thanks a lot, Sedma. And yes, we need immediate actions, and also we need to promote the entrepreneurship and the creation of adaptation jobs. And the Global Center on Adaptation launched the Youth Adapt competition that is open to young entrepreneurs, especially from Africa, that will receive training, capacity building, coaching, and networking opportunity to connect with other development partners, but also a grant to implement the business idea. And it's an invitation to all of you to join also the social media channels of GCA and to apply for the Youth Adapt and also to implement your business idea. We will continue, and now I am delighted also to welcome Olumina Albeja. She is from Morocco, and she is member of the International Association of Students in Agriculture and other related issues. Then welcome, Omina, and then please share with us what the association is doing. You have members in different countries from all over the world, but also you have a special focus on connecting concrete adaptation solutions in the agriculture sector. Please.
Hi everyone, I'm Umayma from IAS MENA, also a member of IAS Morocco. So as said, International Association of Agricultural Science and Related Science is an international organization with base communities all over the world, all over countries. And I will present today our youth-led adaptation project, focusing mainly on agricultural adaptation, but implementing also ecosystem management and water management. Our project's name is CRF, which stands for Climate Resilient Farm. Our climate resilient farming refers to the use of agricultural practices that are designed to withstand and adapt to the challenges posed by climate change, like in unpredictable weather patterns, increased temperatures, and changing precipitations. This youth-led initiative targeting agroecology, drought-resilient crops, soil health management, and water management techniques. These 4 targets are supposed to be the 4 bases of our climate resilient farm. And to further explain each one, let's start with the first base, which is agroecology. We believe youth farmers to be able to adopt agroecological principles by sticking to practices such as crop rotation, polyculture, and natural pest management. The second base being drought-resilient crops, which refers to experimenting with varieties that require less water. The third base is soil health management, consists of getting our young farmers to use practices like composting to improve soil structure and fertility, Fourth base is implementing water management techniques like drip irrigation, rainwater harvesting, and efficient water distribution systems. These four principles, all gathered in one project, present the future image of adaptation solutions in the MENA region regarding agricultural field. What makes it special is the fact that it doesn't focus on one adjusting policy, but four, with flexibility to add more and step forward into achieving climate resilience. This project idea was adopted by our newly elected board of MENA, and we'd like to start working on during our time as board members and get the support we need to launch it here in Morocco, the local community of IAS Morocco, or get other countries in MENA to adopt it as well.
Thank you very much, Maina. And it is an example about how youth are leading the implementation of concrete adaptation solutions. Then thank you very much for sharing this experience.
Can I answer a question in the chat? You can look for IAS Morocco in our Instagram page. There is not a website for the Moroccan community. There is a website for IAS World. And to join the organization, you just need to be studying in the agricultural field like me, or a related science like agri-food industry or something similar. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you to you. And we are now going to watch another solution. Then, as part of the Youth Adapt competition, we want to share with you how young people are implementing a concrete initiative from the winners of the Youth Adapt. Let's watch the video together.
Over the past decades, climate change has become a major global issue. Its devastating effect on the environment is on the rise, affecting productivity and also quality of grains as well as food security. The deal is to train these farmers in good agronomic processes to help them adopt best practices in controlling bushfires and soil erosion, tree planting as well, while serving as a market between smallholder farmers and off-takers in the markets.
Global Farms and Trading Company Limited, GFTC, seeks to contribute to the drive modernization of Ghana's agricultural sector through the provision of a wide range of agribusiness services for speedy growth of various commodities value chains while ensuring consistent protection of the natural environment. Global Farms is a producer of grains, maize, rice and soybeans. Its mission is to be recognized by business associates and competitors as one of the top producers of quality grains and poultry products in sub-Saharan Africa, and to make sure that productivity translates into prosperity and growth for everyone involved within the production value chain. Through a long-term commitment to this mission, the company is known for developing innovative products that are environmentally advantaged.
Another innovative solution from young people. Then now we are going to continue this conversation with two working groups. Then we will have one working group that will be in English, that will be this main room, and then the other one that will be hosted by Shema, member of the GCAA Youth Advisory Panel, that will be in Arabic. Then it is an invitation for you. You can either select to have the discussion or conversation in English, or if you feel more comfortable speaking in Arabic, you also have this possibility. And in the working groups, we are going to discuss three main elements. One is related to the global agenda. You know, governments are discussing this year and negotiating how the global goal on adaptation will be. And basically, we want to hear your voices, your ideas and recommendations. Then what ideas and recommendations do you have regarding this global framework and global agenda related to the global goal on adaptation? The second is how we can promote the participation of young people in national adaptation policies. especially in the national adaptation plans. And the third one is that also we want to hear from many of you. What are you doing in your countries? What initiative are you implementing? Because through this peer-to-peer learning, we can really scale up innovative solutions. Then I invite you to join the English working group here in this plenary, or to join the discussion in Arabic that will be moderated by Shema. Then after that, I would like to invite any of the persons that can take notes to report back to the plenary. Then here, we will have this conversation, and we have, in the meantime, that people just decide in the working group. Then some of you have been really active and engaged in the international process. And one of the main questions that I will have for you is, what will be this recommendation that you have? What are your ideas? What is needed to really move the adaptation agenda forward, but especially what this global goal on adaptation should include? And Abdallah, then from your experience working at the international level, what do you think is needed to be included in the global goal on adaptation?
Okay. So I have been working in the field of climate change for the last 6 years plus, like since 2017. And I have worked also in the adaptation working group. And like the most common thing that people usually face is they have the idea, but they are lacking for the funding. So first of all, it's to have the funding for supporting this kind of projects that can be a direct solution for the adaptation. Also, to raise awareness about the adaptation, because if I'm living in a rural area in Egypt, I don't know the term adaptation, but I do adaptation in my daily life. Like, for example, if I'm in a coastal area and my parents and grandparents went to fishing at an exact area, and then I cannot find fish in this area anymore, so I'm moving to another place. So this kind of adaptation, you are adapting on the changes and you are trying to find another solution, and you already found a solution and you already implemented it, but you don't know that what you have done is just adaptation. So we need just to cut the terms, like this fancy big terms, to more generic, like-minded, like everyday words that we use for the people or for the young people. Also, one of the main things that affects the implementation of adaptation is the fact checking. Like, we need to always have a fact checker on what's happening around us, because you cannot know exactly where you get information from. So it depends on your level of knowledge. You are watching just media, or you are seeking information on internet. So you need to know exactly who should I ask and what information can I get from this person or from this entity. So we need to give them this is places that you need to ask if you have questions. What else? I think also the adaptation is having a national adaptation plan in each country. So try to reach out to the people in charge, try to know exactly what is it. If you haven't read it, try to read it to see exactly what's about it, and see how can you contribute into this one. Because if you just Control F and search the word youth, you will find a couple of words in your country, depends on in your country, and then you see how this one is going to be implemented, and if you could be part of the solution by having participating in this kind of solution. This is some of the recommendations that I usually see, and when I hear the word adaptation, and that's what we are trying to implement as well in our project in Egypt.
Excellent, Abdallah. Finance, education, training and capacity building, and also a platform to connect the change makers. Then, Selma, from your side, what will be the recommendations?
To be honest, I agree a lot to what Abdullah said, because that's like mainly what we always insist on. Funding has been always the main issue, and the thing that has been all time raised, especially when it comes to the MENA region itself. Not having access to funding was always a struggle. Not having, I'm not only talking about the financial funding when it comes to having our participation included, but I'm also talking about the other side. For example, having startup funded, supporting youth on taking actions on the ground through funding their youth-led initiatives. Mainly addressing these things has been always repeated again and again, including youth in decision making. That's one of the things that we always have been addressing, because we do believe that we need to be more trusted, because we have already done a lot on the ground, and that's actually our duty as activists and as change makers and young leaders. But having us included in decision-making process is something that we have been always requesting. Having everyone's voice represented, especially when it comes to the maybe MENA region, also Africa, if we can actually also address this, since we're talking mainly about the global south. Sometimes we have been always seeing a lot of barriers, I would say, targeting these youth. So addressing the fact that these barriers need to be kind of addressed and not maybe repeated every time has been always one of the recommendations. One of the things that we also insist on is, it's true that we need always to adapt, but we want also to accompany this with actions, and we need to accompany this with, I would say, the implementation of our recommendations, because we cannot keep always on insisting on adaptation, but not having any of our recommendations implemented. So it's like you're asking me to live my life without giving me the tools how to do it. So that's mainly it. I would say when it comes to such recommendations, we really insist on having them implemented and not leaving them always as drafted words. We want to see them also happening on the ground, which is also one of the main things that we always insist on, is to just see everything on the ground, rather than keeping them as stated and, I would say, written recommendations, which has the thing that has been seen sometimes a lot and during COPs. So that's actually mainly it from my side.
Thanks a lot, Selma. Youth participation in decision-making processes, but as well implementation. And Maina, you are a young leader, but how did you see the participation of young women in the adaptation agenda? And what will be your recommendations to promote and foster young women participation, not only in decision-making processes, but as well in adaptation solutions?
For me, what I can add to what my colleagues said before, Salma and Abdullah, I agree with a lot of what they said. As women or young women, we have solutions, we try to come up with adaptation projects and all that, but we are trying also to research and to find groups that we can integrate to the decision making. We're trying to find where to make it practical, make it happen. And the way it is right now, as Salma said before, we are expected to give ideas and such, but we still don't feel like our ideas are considered and made to reality. And let's not forget that the last generations are more adapted in our mindset to climate change adaptation, because we grew up with this, we grew up hearing this. Let's just, for example, talk about recycling. Recycling as an idea for the new generation is a thing that we could do and we could consider. But for older people, it's something new, something they can't really lean into after all these years of it's not a policy they've grew up with. Meanwhile, we are generations that we feel a huge responsibility towards environment, towards climate resilience, and we are trying our best. So to just come up with the idea side and focus on that, it is not enough. We need to feel more power and more integrated in the decision making and in making it a solid solutions. Yeah, that's about it.
Thank you. The role of research. I think it is fundamental, and that also through research we can find innovative solutions, but also according to the local need and realities. And Mohammed, you have been also participated at international and national level, but what will be your recommendation, for instance, for you to participate in the design and implementation of the national adaptation plans?
Well, actually, along with the active participation and sharing their perspective by attending the forums or etc., there is a main point that I have to highlight, or actually three main points. Firstly, starting with supporting community-based approach, especially on the gross level and local level. So young people can take the lead in having these kind of approaches to integrate the adaptation agendas, as well as innovation and technology. But innovation and technology comes along with the research and academia as well. And in the MENA region, maybe the lack of academical, or at least in some countries in the MENA region, the lack of data and technical barriers has been always a problem for the youth to take action and to implement the technologies and innovations in their own regions. And for that, it's better to for the youth to focus on advocating for integrating technologies and giving tools to the youth in the region to help in facing the climate change adaptation problems. As well as I have to highlight that partnership and collaboration must be part of our recommendations. We need to make a strong partnerships for the adaptation goals. And along with all these, young people can also work on submitting their inputs or feedbacks through organizations like Yongo, or if they are through local organizations as the Youth Council or Act Sustainable, or even on the international level through being part of the Youth Adaptation Network. And through these, the youth can take more actions and being able to raise their voice and be part of the adaptation agenda recommendations. For governmental things, we have to focus firstly, government have to structure aid guidance where they can provide monitoring and indicators to evaluate the initiatives that really support the adaptation agenda on the local level, as well as in the MENA we have to link the inclusion in economic inclusion, as the MENA has to transform the economic. And for that reason, the main point for that government recommendation that I have to deliver is having a pooled adaptation plans that can transform the system in the MENA region, especially in countries that they depend on the oil industry and not yet started with their adaptation plans to phase out fossil fuels. We do not forget that we have to focus on the capacity building by the governmental authorities as well. The role of the non-state actors alone is not enough. We need to collaborate with governmental as well. And another advice for local adaptation plans and governmental authorities, that they have to take the initiative to work on the grassroots with the local people, especially with the youth and women in most of the local and rural areas. And I think by addressing all these points, along with the points that my friends share, we can have a solid base for the adaptation agenda, and that can contribute for the adaptation agenda on local and regional level.
Thanks a lot, Mohammed. You have raised the point about the link also with the academia and also the role of technology. But as it has been identified by the Sustainable Development Goals, we need partnerships, bringing everyone and leaving no one behind. Then it needs to be one of the drivers for accelerating the adaptation agenda. Establishing partnership between government, civil society organizations, youth, and many other stakeholders. Then now I would like to invite also other participants to share their views, especially like concrete activities that you are implementing related to the adaptation agenda. And I would like to check if you would like to share, please also make a comment in the chat, and then we will be able to give you the floor. Then I can see that we have, for instance, here, Nancy, we would like to hear more about your experience. How is your involvement, and what kind of initiative are you implementing? I think that we don't have the connection with Nancy. Then I also would like to share with you that this year, the Global Center on Adaptation will launch a series of consultations and bringing together young people from different countries and all the regions, sub-regions in Africa. And we will start with these consultations on Monday. There is an invitation, if you are from Africa, to also join the consultations. Then I think that we have a very good discussion about how youth can participate at the international agenda and what are some of these key recommendations, but also regarding at the national level, especially with the national adaptation plans. And also we have here some concrete initiative. I think that we will invite everyone to return to the main plenary, and I will request Abdallah if you can also share at the plenary some of the points discussed here, highlighting some of the recommendations. Then let's wait some minutes. In the meantime, you can use the hashtag Youth for Adaptation to also share with the world, share with your networks what is happening, what are these elements about the adaptation agenda that you consider are fundamental, and what is your message to the global leaders related to adaptation. Then now we are here. I think that also we have Shema. We have two working groups discussing from the global agenda, the global goal on adaptation, national adaptation plans, but in general, some recommendations of youth for accelerating the adaptation agenda. Then, Abdallah, I would like that you please share some of these ideas and recommendations discussed.
Okay. I don't have access to the document itself, but I will try to remind myself as what we already discussed. So we discussed the first one, which is the most important for the financing. So financing is the most important thing that every youth are seeking, because if I have an idea and I cannot implement this idea because I don't have enough money, so the idea is gone. So financing is a very critical request from all the youth, especially on the topic of adaptation. Also, the second point is about the active participation. Like you don't need to just travel and to be like the youth washing or whatever, but to have a really active participation in this platform, and also have your voice being heard, and also to have the direct connection with the stakeholders, whether it's the government, whether it's the private sector, whatever it is, but you also have like a clear route on how to get to your target or points. Third thing that we already discussed on is the capacity building and raise awareness, which is most importantly to know exactly, to solve a problem, you need to know exactly what is the problem is. So first of all, you need to educate people about what is adaptation and why adaptation is important and why we should move on with ideas or to have like naps or something like this. So like to get from the scratch to the top level, you need to start digging, especially for the people who are in the rural area that doesn't have access to the same information that you already have. And also this can be happened by online session, that the one we are having here, or physical one like workshops, webinars, events, and etc. And the third point is to have a network. Like fourth point is to have a network between all the people who are sharing the same interest, because if I have a friend of mine who already helping me or supporting me to keep going on what I'm doing, it will be more impactful than being flying alone. So it's really important to have this kind of network of people who are working on adaptation in one country. And also it will give you like the guts or the encourage to go to the decision maker and ask him or her what is the status of X and Y and Z, and how we can participate as youth in X and Y and Z. So this is also important. And fifth point was about I think it was about getting a good connection with the stakeholders, like to already work with the government, or to work with the private sector or NGOs that are already having this kind of activities inside your country. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just go and see if someone is just rolling the wheel, join them, and then you will have already at least people who has experience and to share your ideas with and to help you with your start point. So this is what I can remember. If I miss some point, feel free, Adriana, to add.
Thank you very much, Abdallah. And Mohammed, would you like to complement any other point that was discussed?
Thank you, Adriana. Actually, we also, along with awareness, participation, public participation, and youth engagement, we also highlighted community-based approaches and innovation technologies, and how the youth, when they are taking part in innovative solutions or part of implementing new technologies in the region, how they will be able to take part in the adaptation agenda. Also, we have highlighted that the youth can also collaborate with organizations and main organizations in the international level, like the Global Center on Adaptation, by being part of their network in the Youth Adaptation Network, through submitting a written or participating in a written proposals or recommendations through these initiatives, as well as with younger or on local level, as with local organizations, Act Sustainable, Libya Youth Council for Climate Change, and such a thing. Also, we have highlighted the need of taking the important and the need of taking the voice of vulnerable people and vulnerable communities, that they have been always providing adaptable solutions to the crisis without knowing that. So they are adapting by leaving. So also this must be taken into consideration as well. And for the governmental, there is some point that we have highlighted, starting from structure and aid and guidance through financing initiatives, and also monitoring and creating in the country or in the regional level, and trying to support them. We also highlighted that capacity building must be also implemented by governments as well as the non-state actors, because one hand cannot be able to clap, and inclusive decisions and process in the region must be united through the collaboration between organizations and public authority as well.
Thank you very much. And now, Shema, I would like to invite you also to share some of the discussions that in your working group.
Adriana, we had a very engaging talk. We had a representative from Egypt and Morocco, and I want to hand over to one of the participants in the breakout room, Sharif. He would love to kind of give you the feedback and the outcomes of that discussion. Sharif, if you would love to jump and give a brief outcome.
Thank you, Shema, for facilitating the room, first of all. Hello, everyone. So what we discussed is education, the necessity of implementing a more effective, more on adaptation education. What we learn about is mostly on mitigation, and we need more adaptation now more than ever. And what we talked about is collaboration between the government and civil society organizations, youth organizations, etc. Because it's important to have the vision and the vision on adaptation going with youth, by the youth. This is necessary for indicating the effectiveness as well in national adaptation plans. And we needed that not only youth who are in academia should be able to participate at these plans. It should be for all the community, let's say people on the front line, like farmers, people studying or based in agriculture areas. It should be inclusive to all, and necessity of having more finance from the government and global networks on adaptation goals. This is a necessity, and this is a bare minimum that could be provided for a resilient and a sustainable future as well. I hope I got all the points, and thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that these ideas and recommendations are very useful, and your recommendations will be presented and integrated as part of the events that the Global Center on Adaptation is organizing at the Africa Climate Summit taking place in Nairobi the first week of September under the leadership of the President Ruto, and also at COP28 that this year will take place in the United Arab Emirates. Then thanks a lot for these ideas, recommendations, and suggestions. Now I want to try again to engage with the Mentimeter. Let's take a look whether it will work. I encourage you to use your mobile phone and to connect. The number that you can use for that is number 13209415. Then I repeat. If you just join us, please go to menti.com and use the code 13209415. And we have some questions for you. And we would like, please also let us know in the chat if you can access the questions and also your responses. Then the first question is, what are these ways to engage young people in the design and implementation of national adaptation policies? I can see already that the Mentimeter is working. Then we have the question that is, what ways you consider you can engage with the adaptation agenda, but especially to the global goal on adaptation. Then what is your message to the leaders and decision makers on the global goal on adaptation? We heard at the beginning, as part of the discussion, the importance of finance, about education, capacity building, networks, but we would like that you can also include in one word, what will be needed. Then participation, and we can see ambition and also communication. What more do you think you need? Remember that the code that you can use to access the Mentimeter is 13209415. And now we can see we said also planning is fundamental. sit at the table, you know, the recommendation of engaging young people in decision-making processes at all levels. Also, the point about, inclusion, participation, financing, capacity building, youth engagement, go green, access to finance, collaboration, partnerships. Yes, another recommendation that has been highlighted has been education and capacity building, but we can see here that there are many responses regarding the role of communication and participation. Participation of young people in decision-making processes. Fantastic. Then let's continue with the next question for the Mentimeter. And one of the recommendations is that young people can engage in the national adaptation plans. Then what do you need to engage in your country? Just think about your country, and then your country either is designing the national adaptation plan, already has a national adaptation plan. But what do you need to engage in your country in the design or implementation of both of the national adaptation plan? And we have here a very big response that is training. Training, education, and capacity building have been highlighted not only in the MENA Youth Adaptation Forum, but many other forums as key enabler. If young people know what is happening and know about the adaptation solutions, they can really drive the agenda. We can see training, education, capacity building, transparency, finance, youth advisory groups is a very interesting also recommendation. We have seen that, for instance, an example, the Youth Advisory Panel that was established by the Global Center on Adaptation in 2022, and it is also an invitation. We have here two members of the Youth Advisory Panel, Abdallah and Shema, and it's an invitation also for you if you would like to be part of the Youth Advisory Panel 2024 that you apply. The launch of the call will be open in September for Sundays, and it is an invitation for you and all your networks. Then here we have many responses about how to engage in the national adaptation plans. And also here we can see partnerships. Partnerships are needed, and especially partnership between government and youth organizations and other stakeholders. I think young people can be also key players, bringing together different actors and especially also local communities. Let's continue with the next question. And it's similar. The question before was more related to decision-making processes. But also here, many of you have highlighted that you need action, that you need implementation. Then we have heard that there are many ideas and solutions, but what do you need to take local adaptation action? And we can see here, partnerships, campaigns, information, skills, sponsorship, finance, community support, decentralization, and this recommendation about the support of governments. And many of you already have been engaged and participate in the international process, but also the national level, this peer-to-peer learning, that young people can learn from each other, can exchange good practices, can also replicate different initiatives. Then thank you very much. And we will continue with the next question that we have. I think that we have all the questions already solved. Thank you very much for your engagement. And now we will have the video message from Her Excellency, the Minister of Environment in the Emirates, who are hosting the COP28. Then I would like to invite to watch this video message, also promoting and inviting the participation of youth, not only at COP28, but in all the process. Please.
Your Excellencies, our young leaders, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to address you today, and I thank the Global Center on Adaptation for inviting me and for the hard work they do to make the world a safer and sustainable place in light of the fast-progressing climate crises. The MENA region is among the world's most vulnerable to climate change, with projections of even higher temperatures and increased water stress. Raising our region's climate adaptive capacities is a priority that can only be achieved with the help of our youth. For young people, it's personal. It's their future at stake. Their determination to be engaged in developing climate change adaptation solutions that prepare us what's to come is evident. But it's the responsibility of those at the helm to give them the opportunity to be in charge of their own future and make sure their voices are heard when charting a global roadmap to a climate-resilient future. With the UAE hosting COP28 in 2023, we are committed to ensuring a meaningful participation and inclusion of youth into decision-making processes. We will make sure young people are present at the negotiation table, side by side with our senior government officials. We believe the young generation has the right to have a say in shaping its future. At COP28, we will have the first global stocktake of the Paris Agreement, and we must implement it effectively, as it will be one of our main pillars of delivery. As part of the process, we will review the global progress on the global goal on adaptation to know exactly where we stand and inform our next steps. To create a positive future for the next generation, climate action is an all-inclusive process. We need everyone on board, particularly our young leaders, if we are to succeed. I have high hopes in our young people, and I'm confident they will achieve great milestones in strengthening the global climate resilience. Together, we will be at the forefront of building a climate-safe, brighter future. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Her Excellency for this video and for this also message inviting young people to engage in the adaptation solutions and to contribute to COP28. Now, it's a very special moment. In 2023, we started with the Youth Adaptation Forums in March the 22nd. Also in commemoration of the UN Water Conference that took place in New York. And we continue mobilizing young people from all over the world, decision makers, and also other organizations, NGO, UN agencies. And it is the culmination of these Youth Adaptation Forums 2023 with the MENA Youth Forum. Tomorrow is the International Youth Day. It's a date to celebrate the leadership of young people, the passion, the energy, the innovative solutions. And I would like to, first of all, to thank all our speakers, especially our speakers from Algeria, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, Morocco, Yemen, and Libya, but also all our participants that have joined the MENA Youth Adaptation Forum from all over the world, but also to many of you that join the forums starting from the Pacific, Asia, Americas, the forum in Bonn, now the MENA Youth Adaptation Forum. What will come next is also an invitation. On Monday, we will start 5 regional consultations. We are working with an organization, a youth organization in Africa, Gallo, and they are organizing 5 regional consultations, one for each sub-region of in Africa. Everyone is welcome to join. And these also ideas and recommendations will be presented at the African Climate Summit taking place the first week of September in Nairobi, Kenya, but as well as COP28. And it is a call for action, a call for urgency, and also the need of partnership between young people and governments. Now, it's also an invitation for you. What can you do? Then, first of all, if you have not joined yet, the Youth Adaptation Network is an invitation. We will put in the chat how you can be part of the Youth Adaptation Network. The second is, each one of you is a change maker, and we need you. We need that you help us to spread the word about the urgency of adaptation action. And how can you do it? You have your mobile phones, you can use also all your social media, and we would like that today, also in commemoration of the International Youth Day, you use the hashtag Youth for Adaptation. And in the chat, you will see the hashtag, and you just create a post about your takeaways and your call to action for adaptation. Then today that you can use the hashtag Youth for Adaptation and tell the world what happened at the MENA Youth Adaptation Forum, and especially what is your contribution. And the third one is that also the Global Center on Adaptation is working on in a campaign, because it has been highlighted the importance of finance. And then we will have a campaign about the importance and the need to double adaptation, finance for adaptation. And it's an invitation for all of you. Also, we will start very soon with this campaign recording videos. You can use your mobile phone and record a video and post using the hashtag of the campaign. All this information will be available through our newsletter. And finally, I want to thank everyone that had been involved in this organization of the forums. I want to thank my team in the Youth Leadership Program team, but also all the organizations and the technical part. And a message for all of you is that we have a crucial opportunity to build a climate resilient future for all, and let's continue working together to make that possible. And as we will continue with this celebration, I would like to invite you, all of you, to, if you don't have your camera on, please turn on your camera, because we will finalize with the Youth Adaptation Forums 2023 with a nice and a happy family photo. Thank you very much to all of you. And then I can see that people now are just using the camera. Thank you really also to the Youth Advisory Panel, Abdallah and Shema, for your leadership, for also bringing all your ideas to accelerate the adaptation agenda. Thank you to the young leaders in the different countries. Remember, we are part of this common agenda, and you play a very important role. And as we have many participants, what we are going to do, because we want to have everyone and leaving no one behind, then we will take several photos. Then I want to invite you to have a very nice smile, because we are celebrating the International Youth Day that will take place tomorrow, and we are celebrating also your engagement and especially your leadership.
Your Excellency.
Fantastic. Then thank you very much to all of you. And We look forward to seeing you also at the Regional Youth Adaptation Consultations in Africa. And all this effort is organized by the Global Center on Adaptation to amplify the youth voices and bring these voices to the African Climate Summit at COP28. Thank you very much, everyone, and have an excellent and happy International Youth Day.
You all have a pleasant day ahead. Bye. From Namibia.
Thank you.
I would like to ask, is there no WhatsApp group for this organization where everybody